And Tony Blair turned around and said, you know what, we're just going to treat you like an employee of your customers, and because they don't pay employees tax for you, you have to pay it all on every cent you earn. Then you can pay for your solicitor's fees and your education and your hotels and your travel and your accountancy, which you need because you have to fill out tax forms every quarter. And I would have gone from having a standard salary for my job, had I worked for an employer, of 28,000, and then the company had profits which I could take money from or pay for gas for the car and all the rest of it, and hotel bills and the likes. I could not afford to pay myself £6,000 a year, and that's less than minimum wage. So I couldn't afford to pay myself minimum wage because I was paying 53% of my income to the government before I got to see any of it. So I left. That was the last time I was in England. The Tory party replaced Tony Blair and didn't do anything about that. They happened to like the fact that entrepreneurs were being absolutely hammered. And they claimed, oh, we're going to fix immigration and everything else. They didn't. And the people in England have just got so pissed off with roaming, gangs in the cities. I mean, you can't go to London now without risking getting stabbed. Motorcycle couriers get hijacked by gangs of people on mopeds who just turn up, flash a knife at them and basically say, get off or you'll get stabbed. And that's it. So, yeah, England is a mess. The Tories haven't fixed it. So, in all likelihood, Labour's going to get back in. And what Labour have said is, hey, we're going to take what the Tories were doing and go even faster because that was Tony Blair's dream. They've also declared that they want to rejoin the European Union, which means all of the concessions that Margaret Thatcher argued for, fought tooth and nail to not have the European Union dictate policy to England. They had the right of veto and everything else. No, if the Labour government get in and say we want to rejoin, the Europeans are just going to say fine, and you have to do everything we tell you, and we'll actually start charging you so that we can pay our farmers lots of subsidies and screw you guys, and we'll be able to steal the fish from your fishing grounds, which are territorial waters, but because you're part of Europe, you're now part of European territory, so the French and the Spanish can just steal all of your fishes, so your fishing industry goes out of business. It's a complete and utter S show. And there really is no hope. There's not a yes. Although they're not as big as they would like to be. I'm not surprised. That's the big difference between the US and the UK. The US, or everywhere else in the world and the US, is you have to show ID when you turn up to the polling station. It's no big freaking deal. Anybody can do it. But there's this BS that, certain segments of the population just aren't bright enough to be able to get an ID. And it's just, no, you just want to cheat. And I'm not holding up much hope for the American elections later on this year. It's all like, there are people out there saying, yeah, Donald Trump's going to win, the polls say so. No, Democrats are going to cheat. They control the electoral system in many, many states. So it really doesn't matter if he wins the vote. They will find enough votes to offset that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the world falls, but for those people those God-fearing people who've read Revelation, something I've said for a while now is I really didn't see anything in Revelation coming to pass. America was too strong, and America is not involved in Revelation. And effectively, America is neutralized before the Antichrist turns up and the Christians all disappear, whatever you believe. If you read Revelations, it's like America's not involved. It's all the Middle East, potentially parts of Europe, but it was like there will be a great calamity around the world, and the big nations in the world will just be eliminated through famines, wars, pestilence, and you'll just be left with Israel and the rest of the Middle East fighting out Armageddon. And if you read that literally, you say, well, I kind of think nothing like that is going to happen anytime soon, because America is too strong. They will get involved in everything unless they can be neutralized. And so you have COVID comes up, America shuts down, and you now look at the situation and it's like America is a paper tiger. They have lots of weapons, but they don't have the politician strength to back that. Our government is doing everything they can to destroy food supply and personal property. You look at crime in this country, and you've got the government is basically saying, you do crime, so long as it's below a certain threshold, we won't count it as crime. So our crime statistics look good. I mean, retail theft in the likes of California. As far as Californian politicians are concerned, it's sorted. It doesn't happen because they don't count it unless the theft was more than $1,000. So, okay, you fix crime. You didn't. People are still getting stabbed and murdered and what have you. But you don't count it as crime, because if you count it as crime, then your state looks bad. And cities around America are just falling into anarchy. The politicians support it, the DAs support it. If America got invaded by a foreign power, there are vast tracts of America where there is no defense. And they're trying to eliminate the Second Amendment, so the vast tracts that do have some form of defense won't for much longer. It's a mess. Yeah, and the early Roman Empire and Ottoman Empire, yeah, they imported foreign nationals who had no interest in supporting the country, and then wondered why the country collapsed. And it's what we're doing here. It's what Britain's doing. Britain has unrestricted illegal immigration across the Channel. And the French are helping them. You know, the French are parking small boats on the beaches and saying, you know, if you want to leave, please get in a boat, go to England. We won't have you back. And, you know, destroying nations. Governments around the world are destroying nations, and the reason they're doing it is to cause, I'm going to say weak people, but you know, it's people who are at the end of their tether. I can't see a solution to all the crime in the big cities. So when government comes along and says, we have a solution, we will do this, the people will support the government fixing their problems for them because they can't see a way out, and the government's just come in and said, here is a solution, trust us. And people will give away their freedoms because government is not doing their job protecting people, just basically their actions encourage the population to be cowed by the situation going on around them, and people will vote for their rights and their liberties to be eliminated in the name of freedom. And that's where we're all going. And I strongly believe that if the government wants this, they will achieve this. And if you fight against it, they will lock you away and throw away the key. You just have to look at everybody who got locked up for just being in Washington DC on the 6th of January in 2020. It became you either plead guilty to what we're charging you with, or you can just sit in a jail cell until you decide you've had enough and you want to plead guilty. And that's what authoritarians do to their opponents. You lock up your opponents, you prevent them from voting, and you prevent them from running against you. We are the regime, we control everything. You will do what we want you to do or suffer the consequences. And society around the world is doing that. And the politicians want it. I don't know why. Well, I know why the politicians want it, because if they can get installed into a situation where you vote for the politician, you have one choice: vote for the politician, or get put in prison for not supporting the regime. You're not in a democracy, you're in an authoritarian state, and really the world as we know it ends. And then you can install, going back to Revelation, you can install an antichrist, a world leader, because nobody is there to stand against an authoritarian dictator taking over the world. It's all foretold in the Bible. And what a weird conversation to get onto. But then if you read the end pages, you find out the bad guys lose. So it's just a lot of turmoil between now and then. This bit is really difficult to I mean, it looks like I'm spraying everywhere, but you look at the counter, 1688. The spray has not adjusted in ages. So I'm driving around here. We're kind of filling in gaps, but really the gaps that are there, and I think it's because it's organic matter. It's kind of like spreading manure. You don't get a very even spread of nitrogen when you do that. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You know, people. That's the other thing that's gone is normal discussion about things. You can believe what you believe. I can believe what I believe. But the moment it turns into, oh, if you believe that, you're a bigot and ists and obes and phobias and all the rest of it, it's like there's no rational discussion. You can't discuss the merits of a thing because one side doesn't let you. They define the words, they define the conversation, and they just resort to calling you names for disagreeing with them. I mean, if you asked Republicans, should we help poor people? Yes, we should. But a Republican does not believe the solution to helping a poor person is just to hand them a ton of cash. There is a reason the person is poor. Either they don't have income or they can't control their spending. And if their problem is they can't control their spending, then giving them money does not fix their problem. And that can be shown in lottery winners. The vast majority of lottery winners are people who are very poor at handling money, and they win $1 million, $2 million, $10 million. You go back and look at them in a year and a half, 2 years' time, and they're back to having no money and buying lottery tickets because it's their only hope. The problem is it's not their hope because they don't know how to handle cash sensibly, and so they will always have a problem with having enough for what they need. They spend it on toys, they spend it on new cars, they spend it on big houses, they spend it on lavish vacations, and they give it to their friends because their friends are poor and they need to help their friends. But go back to being on an aeroplane. If there is a drop in cabin pressure, a mask will drop from the ceiling. Put yours on first and then help the people around you. Because if you spend your time helping the people around you and don't succeed in getting anybody's mask on in time, you don't have yours on, you're going to die as well. But it's the welfare state has caused more people to remain in poverty not because you don't want to help poor people, you want to give them a safety net. The problem is the welfare state doesn't help people with their problems. It just says, have some money and figure it out for yourself. And the people are having problems because they can't figure it out for themselves. It's like my daughter. She went through the foster system for about 4 years before she ended up with us. And so she was jumped from school to school as she was handed round foster families. Not her fault, and theoretically not a problem. But it ended up that the teachers that she had, she dropped further and further behind because she wasn't getting a coherent education. And so, she would, you get educated on a certain syllabus at one school, you move to a different school syllabus and you're behind. And then you move to another school system and you're more behind. And the teachers would not spend time teaching her what she'd missed. They just looked at it and said, it's too much like hard work, and I need all my students to get good grades so that I meet my teacher has to get 90% of her kids passed on a B or better or something like that. A teacher has targets to meet, and if you have one student that doesn't know the stuff because they weren't in your class from the beginning of the year, we actually called at least one of her teachers, just told her what the answers were. She gave her the test. The class got a test. The class took the test. Our daughter did bad and didn't pass. So the teacher said, okay, try it again. And so she would get to take the test again. Back when I was at school, you didn't take the test again. That was your score. And at the end of the year, that was your grade. But no, she got to try it again. And if she still failed, the teacher said, here's the answer book. Here's all the answers to this test. Fill them out in your handwriting and I'll mark you with an A. And it's like, but she didn't learn anything. And her grades aren't passing grades. Her grades are failures because you're not teaching her. No, but I'll just give her the grades because then she looks good and I look good and she's going to get into college on her grades. And it's like, but she didn't earn those grades. She needs to be taught. You're not teaching her. I can't be bothered. And that's the problem with, all of this stuff is you're trying to give people stuff that they don't know how to manage. What you should be teaching them is how to manage what they have so that if they get more, they can make a go of it. I don't know what I would say. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, my parents were poor. It was my parents were post-war kids. They were born in 1946, and so there was still rationing going on for a good 15 years after they were born. So they remember ration books, and we didn't have nice things. We got a black and white TV for the moon landing. And my mum and I sat and watched the moon landing. And in black and white. But that didn't matter because the spaceship was white and the spacesuits were white and the moon's pretty white too, and the sky's black, so it didn't really matter that there wasn't colour. I'm not even sure if they had colour cameras up there either, but yeah. And so, we got Christmas presents, we got birthday presents, but it wasn't anything big. My parents would ask, what do you want for Christmas? And you could give them a list. And if you gave them a list of 20 things, between them and the rest of the family, you might get 4 or 5 of them. But it did mean that we treated everything with respect. My toys survived. My sister's toys survived. They weren't, they didn't have the arms and legs ripped off by the 28th of December. We treated things with respect because we knew that was it. We weren't getting replacements. And consequently, when it comes to handling money, we're careful. Now, early on, I did get myself a credit card, and that was a very bad move. And so I don't have a credit card today, which is a little bit annoying because buying stuff internationally, my bank charges an absolute fortune for foreign currency transactions, which annoys me. Oh, the weed is finished. Okay, well that's all the fertilization. This thing needs to get fixed. And yeah, if schools don't teach finance, don't teach money management, don't teach how to balance a checkbook, don't teach how to how to budget. And those are skills you need to survive, or you will be poor. Even, you can look at people driving around in Teslas with huge mansions. If they lose their job, in all likelihood, they're going to be broke the next day. The difference between them and somebody who earns $50,000 a year